Welcome aboard the BK Escape Pod. That's right, it's the augmented and bionic podcast version of the live show you can hear Saturdays from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern on 100.3 FM and AM 1450 WBHF Radio. You can stream the show live there Saturdays at WBHFradio.org or on the free Tunein app. Look out, here we go. Stand by for launch.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
The Force will be with you, always.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
You got to watch speech to text, because I was going down the road and I had the CD player up pretty loud and I was listening to a compact disc of Richard Pryor, and he was telling a story with very colorful metaphors that Richard Pryor likes to use. And I was in the middle, and I had to stop, and I was sitting there eating at you'd go up to Sonic and eat. You drive up and get the food and they bring it out to you. Yeah. Used to be on roller skates, but that's long gone. Sitting there eating my food at Sonic, and I'm listening to the CD. Now I had to turn it down because I had the windows down, But I'm listening to Richard Pryor, do his shtick while I'm texting my mom. And I'm doing speech to text, so it's picking up my talking. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the text, Richard Pryor was saying something not quite ready for air, and it went into the text thing. What he said, the expletives went right into the text perfectly, and I'm like, oh, don't send that. Backspace. So you got to be careful about that too. So it sounds like that's never happened to you. So
no, it happens to me all the time because I listen to talk radio.
Oh, and that translates to text?
And sometimes I'm leaving a message, I'm trying to think, where did all these extra words come from?
Somebody on the radio's on here.
And then if you go like every third word, it's like traffic on 75.
Which you like,
but it's interspersed with what I'm saying. It's like, what the heck? But
then why? Let me ask this: when we text to speech, which you and I do that a lot, and you know how many times it misfires and says the wrong thing when you're speaking, it'll just mess up. It'll mess up a word or goof up, but it never will when it's picking it up off a speaker. It's always perfectly spelled out. I'm like, why didn't it do that when I'm actually speaking?
Must mean we're talking either too fast or not clear enough. Maybe we're not enunciating.
Mine's probably the latter. Mine's the second. I'm not enunciating.
I had a monkey. His name Friend.
How come this text says, ooh, ah, ah, ah? Why?
I called him Friend.
I called him Friend. Oh, let me give out the number, 770-386-1450, if you want to give us a call about anything that I'm talking about today. And I'm going to be talking about quite a bit today, along with telling you about this day in history. Let me just see what I got here. Did you hear about the dog attack, the little kid that saved his sister from the dog attack? And the message he got from Chris Evans, Captain America himself?
I did not hear
talk about that. We'll even play the clip of Chris Evans' message to this kid. And I got something from...
But he was a true hero.
He was, man, from what he did. We'll get into that later because it's a fantastic story. From Giant Freaking Robot website, there's a kind of an op-ed here from Leanna Keene about coronavirus may shut down the movie theater industry and no new movies until 2021. And I'm like, I hope it's not. I hope we go that route. But it's a very well-written article, and I want to go into that because let's face it, it could be possible that actually could happen. So yeah. I'm preparing myself for that.
And by the way, I want to add to this, not necessally because of any true danger, but because of the feel
that we know of. Yeah, because
there is a mood in the country.
Yeah. And some theaters, let's face it, there's not anything to show right now except maybe classic movies, which some of them are doing. And our local theater has just switched out a few. We'll talk about that too because we've gone and saw several older movies that are out right now. The Russo brothers, remember those guys that were directing Marvel movies like Captain America and
they did the second
War.
one. They did Winter Soldier.
They did Winter Soldier. They did Civil War.
And did they do
the two
Endgame?
last Avengers films?
Yeah.
They've got a new big budget movie planned for Netflix that they're putting together, just like Martin Scorsese and a lot of those directors are going to Netflix for some of their films. And Netflix is the place to go for some quality movies that I think, you and I both think, are theater quality. They could have been shown in a theater. Bird Box was really good with Sandra Bullock, and The Highwaymen with Kevin Costner about Bonnie and Clyde, which was fantastic.
About the two guys who hunted him down,
which was a great movie. And we got that coming up. And Bryce Dallas Howard Ron Howard's daughter, who was in the last two Jurassic World films, has took to Twitter and went with Chris Pratt to show off some of her injuries from filming Dominion, Jurassic World Dominion. And they're not very serious, but she's very proud of them. Let's put it that way. We'll talk about that.
What did she injure? I might want to check those out.
Well, it's just her arms.
Oh.
Now, that's all she showed. She could have injured something else, too, or several other things.
Her pride.
A superhero television series from the 70s, which was very popular at the time, is finally coming to Blu-ray. We'll talk about that. See, I'm going through all these things, and I better
Is
get
that
to all of them now.
Shazam?
No, it's not.
Oh.
And I'm glad a lightning bolt didn't go off when you said that. just then.
Shazam?
Let's go.
Well, I was
Oh,
thinking
no.
Gomer Pyle.
You're more Gomer than Captain Marvel, right?
Shazam.
Yeah, so what else have I got? Fast Radio Blast. Yeah, I've got a lot to talk about here. All of that, and we're going to listen to the Golden Rage of TV when we return, talking about Baba Black Sheep with Robert Conrad, a great television
We
show
might have to not talk off air with that
that
one.
I still love to this day. Stay tuned for all of that. It's BK on the air.
Bowling sure makes me hot. This is a job for Kool-Aid. Hey, Kool-Aid!
Oh yeah, Kool-Aid's here, bringing you fun. Kool-Aid's got thirst on the run. Get a big, wide, happy ear to ear. Kool-Aid smile, 'cause the biggest smile is a Kool-Aid smile. A Kool-Aid smile, a Kool-Aid smile. Dun-dun.
Your friend's cool. My friend's Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid brand soft drink mix.
Something funny's going on.
Yes, something funny's always going on with the Brady Bunch.
Gosh, hey, that's some special kiss.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, I did. Uh-oh.
They wouldn't get me into one of those suits, even if they promised me mouth-to-mouth resuscitation with Cary Grant.
The Funny Bunch, the Brady Bunch. Every week on ABC.
It really works.
Never fear, Smith is here.
And now back to the guy who can actually walk and chew gum at the same time. It's BK on the air.
Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. The World War II drama Baba Black Sheep ran for 2 seasons on NBC from 1976 to 78 with a total of 36 episodes. It starred Robert Conrad in the role of the World War II flyer Gregory Pappy Boyington. Conrad served as the narrator and also directed some of the series. Some notable cast members were the future Night Court star John Larroquette and Magnum PI's Larry Manetti. Dan Blocker's son Dirk from Brooklyn Nine-Nine was on the show as well, and Simon Oakland, who had appeared in over 130 different TV shows. However, the character of Pappy Boyington was the only non-fictional member of the cast. Loosely based on his memoir, the man himself actually made 3 brief cameo appearances. He was in the episodes Deadliest Enemy of All Part 2, The Fastest Gun, and 10'll Get You 5. Appropriately, he was also the technical advisor for the show. Television was not new to Boyington, as he'd already appeared as a guest on the game show To Tell the Truth in 1957. But aside from television, you may ask, what was his claim to fame? Well, the Marine flying ace was personally responsible for destroying 26 Japanese planes. On one such mission under his command, his Black Sheep squadron shot down 20 enemy planes without a single loss. So although television work never gained Pappy an Emmy or a star on the Walk of Fame, his wartime service earned him a Purple Heart, a Navy Cross, and a Medal of Honor citation. This is Pat McCormick with your Retro TV trivia from the Golden Rage of TV. You can also find me on YouTube and Facebook at Golden Rage of TV and on Twitter at Golden Rage of TV1. And now back to BK on the air.
Yo, thank you, Pat, for that Golden Rage of TV.
Sounds
Baba
like
Black
the
Sheep.
precursor to the A-Team.
Well, I was just about, what's funny is I was just about to mention that because the theme to this show was written by Mike Post and Pete Carpenter. They wrote the Rockford Files. They wrote a bunch of television themes, but I was watching this one day in the living room, and you and I both are big fans of this show. I loved it back when it was on.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I watched it because I'm a big...
The Corsair was my favorite World War II
Oh,
plane.
was it? Okay, yeah, I liked it. I thought that the gull wing design was really cool.
That was
the way
awesome.
it looked. But I've always been an aficionado, if you will, of World War II fighter planes. I love
I thought you were
all
going to
of
say
them
of
and check
classic
them.
television.
Well, that too, yeah. Which this is both classic World War II planes and classic television. But I was watching this. I'd just gotten it. You said you got it on DVD. I don't think it's been released on Blu-ray yet, but it's on, I have it on DVD too. And one of the channels either was showing it or MeTV was watching it, showing it. I don't think they do anymore. But I was watching it one day, and Mrs. BK was at the kitchen, and she heard it coming on. She heard that theme start playing, and she's in there doing something, and she's like, "Are you watching the A-Team?" I'm like, no, but it certainly sounds like the A-Team theme when it starts. But it's a
very similar
fantastic
sound.
Fantastic drum militaristic sound of and you know, when this show went into syndication, I don't think Pat mentioned this, but when it went into syndication, the title was changed to Black Sheep Squadron. Sometimes they'll rebrand a show when they put it in syndication, or they'll redub a movie, something like Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. We don't like it when they do that. I don't know why they do that, but even Hawaii Five-0 was done that way. I didn't believe it. I saw an actual title sequence. If you go on YouTube and search for McGarrett late night CBS Hawaii Five-0, they didn't redo any of the title sequences. Hawaii Five-0 still came on, you know, with the big wave at the beginning and shots of Hawaii and that cool da 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 da. But instead of the title Hawaii Five-0 flying out of the screen toward the camera during the credits and the big wave, the show was renamed McGarrett. Like Steve McGarrett was Jack Lord's name in the show, and it was just the name McGarrett came out, and they rebranded it for CBS late night. I don't know why they do that. Producers probably sit around a table and go, you know, people, if we rename this and repackage it, they won't remember that they saw it. They'll just watch it again and think it's a whole new show on late night into syndication. So Black Sheep Squadron was the new name of Baa Baa Black Sheep, and I thought Robert Conrad is a fantastic action hero. He was in what I call the show called The Wild Wild West.
That show,
which everyone called, and I think rightfully so, a science fiction western, which is kind of what it was, or it was James Bond type western.
It was very
exactly
James
what it was.
Bondish because it was
like Batman too. I mean, it was like Batman.
Early sort of espionage wing of the government, and
during the Old West.
I loved it. I loved that show. I still love the title sequences of that show when it would go to commercial break.
Oh, yeah, little animation stuff.
It would freeze on somebody, and they would turn back into one of the panels.
Right, yeah.
I'm like, that was awesome.
That's good. So,
and then I got so disappointed when the movie came out about 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, I looked forward
longer
to it.
than that now.
I'm like, Barry Sonnenfeld directed, he's a good director, directing the movie Wild Wild West with how can you go, well, the best thing about the Wild Wild West film was Kenneth Branagh as the bad guy, the scientist
guy. You had
guy.
Kevin Kline, you had Will Smith, and you had Kenneth Branagh.
And Salma Hayek as the female interest. How can you go wrong with that mixture? Well,
and you just want to like it, and you can't.
You can't. It has its moments, but it's just very cringeworthy. It's got a good score, too, by Elmer Bernstein. Great orchestra score, but we could do a whole show.
So many good elements
we could do a whole show about film scores to movies that suck, that are great film music.
We could have a whole show on why did this movie fail?
Right.
It had everything that should have made it a hit.
Yeah.
Everything was
Van
there.
Helsing, maybe, with Hugh Jackman. Great,
that was horrid.
Great premise. It was terrible, though.
It was horrid.
Again, though, Alan Silvestri, great score. Great score to that film. And which was disappointing because Van Helsing was directed by not Joe Johnston, the guy that directed Deep Rising. Oh, why can't I think of his name? Stephen Sommers, guy that directed the first two Mummy films, directed Van Helsing. It was terrible. The screenplay was horrible, and the performances were just these cardboard horrible. Remember the guy? I don't know if you remember, but the guy played Dracula, and it was terrible. He's a great actor otherwise, but he was terrible in that film as Dracula. It felt like,
hey, let's just throw some really cool visual effects and put Hugh Jackman in there. That's all we need.
And what about the script? We don't need a script.
Hey, didn't they make that same mistake when they put the first Mummy movie with Tom Cruise back? When they tried to reboot it?
That's the big mistake they made. That was a huge letdown.
Hey, we don't need to worry about anything. Tom Cruise will sell the movie. Well, you still need a story.
Yeah, and it's the Mummy franchise. People love horror, old Mummy films. They'll come and see it in droves. Now, they found out that horror universe that was started ended quickly. And that's terrible.
Well, good for the horror universe that died before it even became alive.
I've heard that they've restarted it with The Invisible Man. That's actually the first official movie, which did well. So
it's funny. I took that in one of our podcast episodes I mentioned with Dean of the Dead, the guy that does the
on the Wilder Ride.
sauces.
Yeah.
I said, because of the success of Invisible Man, there's now this sort of, we're not going to call it a universe, but let's go back and maybe bring up some of our other classic monsters.
But the next movies, they're going to be connected, but don't tell anybody. We're not going to call
Bride
it
of Frankenstein, but shh.
Because if you say you're going to create a cinematic universe ahead of time, you're kind of jinxing it, because you're like, it may not work out. Hello, it didn't. Marvel didn't do that. Marvel just went, well, we're going to start these movies and we'll go where we go and see what happens.
Yeah, there was always the plan, but we didn't say it out loud.
No, we're not going to hit you over the head.
Did you see that documentary yet, though? On Disney
no,
Plus?
I still haven't.
Assembling a Universe.
And no, I've seen that one. Yes, I've saw that one. I saw that one when it first came out, which was fantastic.
That was really good, showing how they got all the way up to at least the first Avengers movie.
Right, and there's another one that's called Stan Lee. Is another one on there about Stan Lee, which is really cool that you should watch, like 75 Years of Marvel and Stan Lee.
I haven't
and
seen
stuff.
that one yet.
It's really good too. But back to Baba Black Sheep, great show. My dad loved it. Robert Conrad. Again, you and I talked about this too. Robert Conrad falls within that era of actor, tough guys. Robert Conrad, Burt Reynolds. Name them from back in the day. Adam West,
Clint
Lee Majors, Clint Eastwood, all those guys that we grew up with. We're now seeing them because since a few years ago we've since lost our father. Our dad is gone, and those guys, kind of the age of our dad. We could kind of mirror their ages, and now we can see. Actually, before our fathers even passed away, we can see those tough guys that we liked growing up. We could see them getting old, and it was hard seeing someone like a certain way all your life, and they, you don't see them for a while, and all of a sudden they're old. And I'm not complaining about people getting old; it's going to happen to everybody. But you kind of go, wow, I remember him as an action hero in the '70s. Now he looks like my granddad or something. And it's not. I mean, I don't mean to say it as a joke, but it's true, and it makes us feel a little older. Like, wow, are we creeping up and getting older? Yeah, we are.
You can't slow it down.
But I throw Robert Conrad into that group of people. And the show was produced by Glenn A. Larson. Remember that guy's name was on a lot of things.
Everything.
Including Magnum P.I., Battlestar Galactica, the original Battlestar Galactica show, and Buck Rogers. But if you watch Baba Black Sheep, some of the same directors would direct the scenes, especially the ones where they're in the cockpit of the plane. They'll show the stock footage of the Corsairs that they had already that they would just reuse because you don't want to shoot new footage for every episode. That's not going to be cost effective. You got to use stock footage. Let's face it, if you need 2 shots of the Corsair being shot and then banking right, you're not going to shoot another one when you got 3 shots like that already. Just use what you got. Well, you cut to a shot of the Corsairs flying by the camera, then the close-up of them in the cockpit of the Corsair, which is shot in the studio. It's just a fake, backdrop.
You mean they're not really out in the sky?
No, I don't think Robert Conrad could fly a Corsair. I really don't think he could. But then they'll cut to that close shot of the clouds going by, the rear projection of the thing behind them. It was shot almost exactly like Battlestar Galactica, so they always have the shots of the Vipers going by in space. Then they cut to the close of the cockpit of the Viper with the space field in the background. And even some of the same actors from Magnum P.I. were in Battlestar Galactica that were in Baba Black Sheep. So they kind of used the same people, and it was the same formula. It was just set in 2 different eras and 2 different
Well, in some ways,
so.
when you think about what was Battlestar Galactica, it was just a aircraft carrier in space.
Right, carrying fighters, and they were fighting an enemy.
Right, I know the whole idea was we're trying to escape to a world we can be free from. But, I mean, it's still kind of a World War II theme.
Right, and they're fighting an oppressive regime trying to destroy them. It's all that story kind of works with everything.
It does.
If you got that basic story, Star Trek's got it. Everybody's got it where you're fighting evil. That's good. But Battlestar Galactica was a great show, and I loved Baba Black Sheep. And hearing Pat's report about it makes me kind of want to go back and watch it again because I don't think I've seen it in a while, and I can watch it.
I said the same thing to myself listening. I'm like, I need to go get the DVDs out.
I think it's great. So we'll be back. It's BK on there. We're going to take a break now, but when we come back, we're going to flash the audience of the news, the weird, the strange, and the bizarre, and I'll hand it back to Alan, let him read mine, and I'll bring mine, let me read mine. I haven't printed out 2 lately. I don't know what. This is the thing that's left over for me from broadcasting at home.
It's fun.
I haven't made a copy from you, so it's BK on the air.
Hey, here's Better Cheddar's crackers, San Francisco style. Better Cheddar's, sourdough baked right in, delicious tasting Better Cheddar's, the San Francisco style. Snack thin. Nabisco takes the great taste of cheddar, bakes in real sourdough, so you get Better Cheddars. Light, thin, delicious. Ooh, Better Cheddars, the San Francisco style. Snack thin, Better Cheddars. Nabisco.
Thursday on Hawaii Five-0.
My daughter.
Kidnapping?
Your father's right.
Is it a kidnapping or a runaway? Then on Barnaby Jones, is JR's friend a murderer?
I didn't mean to kill her. All right, get in, JR.
Hawaii 5-0, then Barnaby Jones, Thursday at 9, 8 Central and Mountain.
Tomorrow on CBS.
Wow, the conversation even off the air can be either a podcast or we could have put that one on the air because we didn't use any.
No, that was worth
superlative,
talking about.
Colorful metaphors that time when we were talking. Usually we do like, oh my goodness, there's no way we could turn the microphones on in here when we're talking about stuff, especially if it's something we're passionate about, like tomatoes or
tomatoes. We're both passionate, but just on opposite sides of the spectrum.
Star Wars and movies and stuff like that, or movies about tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes?
You want to talk about Rotten Tomatoes? Hey, but it's time we're going to flash the audience of the news, the weird, the strange, and the bizarre. I actually gave you the first one there on the page.
I want a tomato. What? A one-ton tomato?
That must have been a thing with kids when they heard it. You know, it made the school rounds. That's what it sounded like.
I want a one-ton tomato.
I know.
All right, I got the first news.
A song that you could hear on this radio station from time to time. Yes.
We head to Ohio. 3 Ohio sisters have defied odds by giving birth on the same day in the same hospital with the same obstetrician overseeing their deliveries.
Let me quote the guy from The Thing. You got to be kidding me. Self-censor there.
You know what you need? You need a butt with the Wilhelm scream.
I do it. Either that or just a beep or something where it just sounds wrong. Didn't say that.
The births occurred on July 3rd at Ohio Health Mansfield Hospital with a 4.5-hour span. So even within 4.5 hours of each other.
Wow. That's no minor feat.
That's crazy. A 1998 Associated Press story cited the odds of 3 sisters giving birth the same day as 1 in 50 million. All 3 sisters had their deliveries induced. Dr. Edroy McMillan delivered all 3 babies.
Wow.
He did, however, decline to be interviewed.
Because he was asleep. Because he was exhausted. Probably, right?
That's wild, though. 3 sisters all having their pregnancies at the exact same time so that they all could be delivered at the same time, and they all came at the same day.
Now, I did see an expanded version of that story where the one sister was induced. But if it was fun time for her to have it anyway, she needed to be induced.
Well, they said that maybe they just did that. The third sister said, I want to be there with my other sisters.
And they just want to make the record books, too, so why not? I got the next news.
Well, we're talking about them.
Yep, they made this news on this show. From UPI, an Australian woman said that she has finally proven a tarot card reader wrong by scoring a lottery jackpot worth more than $70,000. The Woy New South Wales woman, Woy.
No, wait a minute.
WOY.
She's going out of her way to prove tarot readers wrong.
Yeah, she's doing it.
Like I needed someone to do that for me.
The Woy New South Wales. No, it's not England. Why did I say that? It's Australia. Same thing. Yeah. Oh, no. Almost. I'm sorry I said that. The Woy New South Wales woman told the lot officials that Friday's Lucky Lottery Super Jackpot drawing marked the end of her belief in the words of a fortune teller who predicted her future would be anything but lucky. Quote, a tarot card reader read my cards years ago and told me I would never win anything in my life. Since then, I have been trying my best to prove her wrong. Now I can say I have, unquote. I'm like, oh, wow. I would have just taken my $70,000 and enjoyed it and not even brought that up. I mean, it's not really
seems a little silly.
A point to
I didn't realize that there was
worry about that.
Is there a big controversy over the accuracy of tarot card readers?
I don't know. Mine's always been right when I went and talked to tarot
it's
card
cool in a
readers,
James Bond movie and all, but I mean, is it in real life?
Oh, Alan, you've drawn the Vodka of Cups card.
Oh, well, then it's correct.
What that means.
Yeah, that's all I need is a tarot card reader to listen to one show.
Now, if you remember, James Bond stacked the deck on Solitaire in Live and Let Die. He made it to where she drew the cards where he could have a little something with her. He actually cheated.
The cards do not lie.
She didn't think they did either.
Lovers.
But I think I would have won my $70,000 and so would have you, and just went on my merry way and had a good time and not worried about it.
I don't think I would have called out a tarot card reader from years before.
They were wrong.
I mean, it's one thing if they had said like the week before, don't buy a lottery ticket, you're not going to win. And then, okay, fine.
But you're 60. You got that reading when you were 10.
All right, I've got the next news.
Well, they were wrong, weren't they? You were wrong, Dad.
A Southern California house made famous by outdoor shots in the first season of the classic sitcom The Golden Girls is listed for sale for the first time with an asking price of
$1 million.
Oh, close. 3 times more than that. Just below $3 million.
Oh, okay. I'm being Dr. Evil and I'm wrong again.
We're only $1,000 shy of that. The Los Angeles home, I guess it sounds better to list it at $202,999,000.
That's $3 million.
Yeah, $3 million. From Douglas Elliman, served as the exterior of the house shared by the titular women for the first season of the 1985 to 1992 sitcom before a replica was constructed on a studio lot for subsequent seasons.
Wow.
I didn't know that. The owner of the house, James Barry, age 65, said it was the first time the four-bedroom home has been listed for sale since his parents, David Nobel Barry III and Margaret Carthen Barry, had it built in 1955.
Wow, it's that old.
He said his parents received a small fee for allowing shots of the house to be used in the show. Barry said only the exteriors of the house was used for filming. No kidding.
Right.
But the floor plan of the series the series designers made on the soundstage was based on the actual
So
floor
they actually
plan.
built it like the real house.
That's kind of cool.
Wow,
the Golden Girls ran for 180 episodes, starring, of course, Betty White, B. Arthur, Estelle Getty, and Rue McClanahan.
Some iconic show houses are that way. I'd hate to know that some people that own them now, it's an inconvenience for them because some people still come by and want to look at them and hang out and take photos and come up in the yard and stuff and take pictures.
Like you in the Brady Bunch house?
I didn't go in the yard. I was just outside on the sidewalk, just like thousands of other people there.
I did not go in the yard.
But the house in Breaking Bad, people have done that. And the house,
Poltergeist house.
And what was the other one? The house. When we went, by the way, here's something that you said that house was kind of designed after the real house on the inside. The sets on the Brady Bunch were nothing like the house that it was filmed at. Now what they did was HGTV bought the house and redesigned the inside.
Didn't they do that just recently?
I think it was last year.
Just a few months ago.
They can. They made the inside of the house match the Brady Bunch set now, and they had to go through a lot to do it because the house in the Brady Bunch on the show was much bigger than that house was on the exterior. They had to re-add rooms and do things to it, so I thought that was really cool. So, yeah, houses, iconic houses. We're going to do a whole segment on that, too, one day. I got the next news. This is terrible. A team of Japanese doctors shared details of the case of a woman suffering from a throat irritation. The doctor said in a study
I saw this
published in the July issue of the American Society of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene that the 25-year-old woman came into St. Luke's International Hospital in Tokyo, complained of throat irritation 5 days after eating sashimi. The medical team discovered, did you see what it was?
I did.
A 1.5-inch black worm living inside the woman's tonsil in her throat. And the creature was removed using tweezers.
So this little tiny, it was probably so small, didn't realize it was in the food.
Yes.
But it got embedded in her tonsil and continued to grow. Basically, it was growing on her flesh.
The worm, which was alive, was identified as the 4th stage larva of a parasitic roundworm. The worms sometimes are found infecting the stomachs of patients who consume raw or undercooked marine fish that contains the creature's larvae. This is where they got Alien, the idea of Alien from.
This is what makes me cringe every time I watch Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, more than 700 cases of infections involving the worms have been documented in Japan and the Netherlands, South America, and North Pacific countries, the doctor said. The team said the woman's symptoms quickly improved after the worm was removed and her blood test came back normal. Well, no crap there, buddy. I mean, come on. Of course it would improve. My mental stability would improve after the worm was removed. I'd just start feeling better, thinking that's no longer part of my body.
I think I'm catching maybe strep throat or something. Nope, you just got a worm.
Nah, you just got a giant worm inside.
Oh, let's see. Think I can do this quickly or not?
Yeah, go ahead. Why not?
An Arizona man broke a Guinness World Record when he stacked 485 Jenga blocks into a tower, but the base was only one single vertical block.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, Ty Star Valente of Pima initially set the record last year with a tower of 353, but he broke his own record this year with plenty of time on his hands and practice thanks to COVID-19. Valente's technique involves the tower expanding upward almost like a funnel out from the bottom using the physics to help kind of lock it in place.
So it's like a Jenga tornado.
Yes, exactly.
Looking like a shaped one. That's fantastic. I hate the people that juggle chainsaws and swords and stuff. I could never do stuff like that.
Jenga, Jenga, Jenga. You take a block from the bottom and you put it on top. You take a block from the middle and you put it on top. That's how you build a tower, you just don't stop. You gotta build that tower putting blocks on top. And it teeters and it totters as you build it all up. It weebles and it wobbles, but you don't give up. You take a block from the bottom and you put it on top. You take a block from the middle and you put it on top. Till someone knocks it over and that's when you stop. But you start all over putting blocks on top. Jenga from Irwin.
In 1975, he directed Jaws. In 1978, he directed Close Encounters of the Third Kind. In 1981, he directed Raiders of the Lost Ark. And now, Steven Spielberg brings us E.T., the Extraterrestrial. We will witness the arrival, the search, the desertion, the fear, the discovery, the friendship,
I'm keeping him.
the secret, the love, the warning, the signal, the mystery, the danger. The intrusion, the wonderment, the enchantment, the hope. The connection has been made. Universal Pictures presents Steven Spielberg's E.T., the Extraterrestrial.
That's right. The trailer, one of the early teaser trailers, kind of, for E.T. the Extraterrestrial, John Williams music. I played that because right now, check your local listings. The old movies are still playing here and there and everywhere out in the country. You can see old classic movies playing. There's no new movies being released, and I got an article here. The reason I'm kind of dovetailing into this here to talk about it. You can see E.T. What else is out? Jurassic Park is still out locally with us.
Yeah, talk about the NCG Cinema for us.
NCG Cinemas, yep, near us. And you may have a theater near you, so check out where
they just added a movie, which for me, I can't believe how long ago, technically, when you look when it came out, but The Matrix, the first one.
The Matrix, 99. Wasn't it 1999?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm like,
Stop it.
I thought the first Matrix film is fantastic.
21 years ago. It is.
I love
one
the
and
first
two.
one.
I love the first two. The fact is, they left the second one with an open ending to go straight to the third,
right?
And they lost everything. Third one, I do not watch it. I'll watch 1 and 2, and that's it.
People were. I was joking with people back in '99, back when that was when the Phantom Menace, the Star Wars prequel, came out. The first prequel came out, and then the Matrix came out as well. And I think '99 is when the first Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser came out as well. So it was a big kind of an action science fiction year. And people would come up to me and go, "Well, all the movies out in the theater, we all know which one is your favorite." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. It was the Mummy." And they're like, "Oh, was it Star Wars?" I'm like, "Nope, it wasn't." I loved the first Mummy film and the Matrix more than I liked. I think the Phantom Menace when it came out.
This may be a little bit of recycle from years ago because I remember listening to you guys talk about it. The Mummy, to me, was what Raiders of the Lost Ark was when I was a kid. The first Mummy movie.
It was. It could have easily have been Indiana Jones and the Curse of the Mummy.
Right.
It could have been because it
was.
I
thought Brendan Fraser was fantastic in it.
Great adventure
film. I love the combination of just enough horror for it to be a Mummy movie.
Right.
A lot of action, but still humor. Still keeping sort of a tongue-in-cheek wink.
Right, and tons of adventure and a fantastic score by Jerry Goldsmith. The music to that movie. That's the one area of the park when you go to Universal. Back when you ever can go, when they open and everybody can go again. I know they're open, but when we get back to normal, you can go through Universal and hear all of John Williams' music. You can hear E.T. like we just heard because there's an E.T. ride at Universal. Jurassic Park music, John Williams. Jaws music, John Williams. All of his Harry Potter section, you hear his music there. But you go over toward where the Mummy is, and you hear Jerry Goldsmith's music. He sneaks in his music over there, which is fantastic. And it could have been a great It could have been a great
In fact,
Indiana Jones film.
I'm way overdue watching The Mummy 1 and 2 with Brendan Fraser.
I
I'm
thought they
not
were
as
great.
big of a fan of the third one. I know you like it, but
I thought they
but
were
the
good, kind of a trilogy. You know, I know they replaced Rachel Weisz in the third one. She didn't want to be in it because she didn't like the screenplay, and a lot of people didn't like it either. But I thought the third one kind of ended it, kind of wrapped that little 3-movie trilogy up, which was really good. But yeah, the first Mummy movie is one of the best. That's one of those classic remakes where I'm like, now you're sitting down, so I'm making sure you're sitting down because you may have fell out, you may have collapsed when you hear me say this. I actually think The Mummy, 1999's The Mummy, is better than the 30s original version. I think it's much better. The original Universal Mummy is a classic horror film, but to me, it's one of those. Even though it's a classic, it falls short because it's kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
It just falls a little flat for me. And I know that I'm going to get mail and people are going to call and they're going to send me a message on Facebook going, "You're crazy! It's the best Boris Karloff's best." I'm like, that's fine if you think that. That's all right. But
don't
I just
get
thought,
the makeup and the actor mixed up with the story.
Right. I just thought the remake was fantastic. Now the Tom Cruise one was terrible that came out.
Right.
A few years ago.
The Brendan Fraser, and I know Brendan Fraser apparently was going through some health issues and some mental health issues.
He was, yeah. He's back now, thank goodness.
I'm hearing
yeah.
he's coming back into, and
I've even heard rumors that they're revisiting the Mummy franchise with him and Rachel Weisz, and I'm all for it. Go for it. I mean,
bring the two of them back, and now the older kid, now their son being older, having been raised by those
and
parents.
John Hannah, her brother, he was the comedy guy.
So good.
He was fantastic.
He was so funny. Like anybody who handled it differently, you would have been like, "What is this character doing in this movie?" Somehow he's so believable at being just he's just slimy enough that you realize how he gets in trouble, but he's still likable.
He's a smart, funny, lovable little charlatan in the film. He really is.
Because he's got to walk that line. That's a hard character to play.
You know, I was watching, Stacey had just talking about rewatching old TV shows since you're shut in from the pandemic. My wife is she's rewatching a great show that she loved with Jennifer Garner back in the day that J.J. Abrams came up with called Alias.
Yeah.
And she loved that show, and she's rewatching it again now streaming, which is great because when she had it before, last time she watched it was on a picture tube television on DVD. Mm-hmm. And now she's watching it streaming on the flat screen, and she's almost like seeing it for the first time because it's a lot more, looks better, sounds better, or whatever. And I was watching it the other day, and I'm like, who's that bad guy? That's John Hannah from The Mummy, her bumbling brother. He's playing a bad guy on an episode of The Alias. And I'm like, wow, he's pretty versatile because he's totally believable as this bad guy killer, too. So he's very versatile. He's a Scottish actor. He's from Scotland.
Yes.
So he hides his thick Scottish accent.
His brogue.
when he's talking. But yeah, a lot of old movies are in the theaters that are open. Go see them because the theaters are trying their best to survive. And don't worry, if you want to wear your mask, you can. They're sitting people. There's an empty 2 chairs, and there's 2, so you can sit with your significant other that you have. Then there's 2 empty ones. They're keeping everyone apart, and everything's sanitized and safe from what I hear. So they're open. You want to see an old movie, go see it. Well, I got a story here. Unfortunately, I hope this is not true. This is from Leanna Keene from Giant Freaking Robot website. Coronavirus shuts down movie theater industry. Possibly no new movies until 2021. It's the straw that broke the camel's back for the movie theater industry. Lockdowns around the United States due to the coronavirus forced movie theaters nationwide, of course, you know this, to close their doors. It started way back in March. It seemed like a year ago. This is creeping by like, when did this start? And the shutdowns are still going on. A few movie theaters have opened up in a few states. However, most movie theaters in the United States remain closed. As we just mentioned to you, a local one of ours is open showing older movies, and some of them near you may be as well. And for the ones that are open, they don't have anything new to show since movies aren't being released. They're just showing the old classic ones, and it doesn't look like that situation will change anytime soon. While Hollywood has been planning to start releasing new movies again in the fall, it now seems like that might be impossible. Analysts now say that they do not expect movie theaters to reopen until 2021, and what's more, there will be no new movies released in the remainder of 2020. Media consultant Doug Kreutz explains, we now expect domestic theaters to be largely closed until mid-2021, in part because we don't think studios will be interested in releasing their largest movies into a capacity-constrained footprint. Now, when you put it that way, Alan, that kind of makes a lot of sense, because if they're going to release their films, what do they want them to do? They want them to make money. But if a lot of people aren't rushing back to the theaters already, and we know how fickle budgets are. If they've got to make a lot of money, they've got to make at least twice and sometimes 2.5 times their budget to make back, a profit on films. So if they're going to open to a limited movie opening, I don't think they're going to do that. So that he makes a good point there. He continues, we had previously assumed that the spread of COVID-19 would be relatively halted with social distancing requirements significantly lessened by late 2020. We have now extended that timeline out to at least mid-2021. The situation remains very fluid. Yeah, it says mid-2021 now. The situation remains very fluid. From now. And we do not rule out the possibility that the impact could last even longer, unquote, he says. Given that it's unlikely movie theaters will be able to survive that long without new movies and that Hollywood needs revenue, don't be surprised if they begin to reevaluate their stance on releasing movies streaming. The hashtag #JustStreamIt movement is about to pick up steam. I didn't even know there was a hashtag #JustStreamIt out there. So there is. And that's fine. If they have to do that, I'll roll with it because I've been rolling with this thing for 3 months now.
They're going to have to figure out that pricing model. I know a lot of people said when they did that initially with like The Invisible Man and some of the other movies that went straight to a streaming. They called it Amazon Cinema. It was like $20 to rent the movie.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, wait a minute, all the other movies I can rent are like $6 or $7, or if they're older,
or if Netflix
$2.
comes out with a super film that's great, it's not that much.
And so I think they're going to have to reevaluate their pricing model.
Yeah.
Because, and I get it, because a lot of them are saying, well, most people go out with 2 or 3 people. So if you're watching it at home, you might have 3 or 4 people all watching it. You would normally buy a ticket for each person.
Yeah, that's true.
So I get why it's $20. You might have to figure out a halfway point.
Right, or to do
maybe it's not 20.
Fine-tune that.
Maybe it's more like $12.99.
Yeah.
Like and a little bit more than a movie ticket
price. And they send someone with a mask to your house to collect tickets from everybody that's going to watch it.
Right? Funny with a mask.
So, yeah.
Got to punch tickets, please.
What are you doing at my house? Get out of here.
No ticket. Punches the guy out the window.
Last Crusade, which you see in the theater right now, by the way.
That's another one.
It's still in the theater, Indiana Jones. So you can go see movies now if you want to. There's some old movies out there. Check your listings. But it looks like I'm not going to subscribe to that yet. That's a speculative story, but it makes sense. And we could possibly see movies hopefully come back out, new movies by the end of the year. Other than that, we may not see this startup, Alan, they're saying now, till mid-2021. And that's unfortunate. It really is for the movie industry and for the movie-going public, by the way, which you and I are a part of, and we love movies. Speaking on the air, we're going to take a break now. We're inching up to the top of the hour. But when we come back, I've got a story about a hero that saved a girl from a dog attack, and he's just a little boy. And a Marvel hero, called him one and helped him out with some great stuff.
Harvey, want anything special for your birthday?
Just a decent cup of coffee.
You're kidding.
I'm serious. Honey, your coffee's undrinkable.
It's pretty harsh.
Well, so's your coffee. You know, the girls down at the office make better coffee on their hot plates. Well, see you later.
And he didn't even kiss me goodbye. You know, if I could just make a decent cup of coffee, I could relax. So, relax. Why don't you try Instant Folgers? Tastes good as fresh perked. Good as fresh perked. I'll surprise Harvey for his birthday tonight.
Hey, great coffee.
It's Instant Folgers. Doesn't it taste good as fresh perked?
Better.
Better than those girls make at the office?
Honey, their coffee can't hold a candle to yours.
Instant Folgers taste good as fresh perked. Try it.
It's the fishing invention of the century. There's never been anything like it. Popeil's Pocket Fisherman. Men, women, youngsters can cast almost like experts the very first time. Small enough to fit in glove compartment, backpack, any travel bag, or even in your pocket. And Pocket Fisherman's handle is its own mini tackle box. Flip up the special DuPont nylon rod and you're ready to fish anytime. Even catch big ones like this with heavy test line and your favorite lure and shock absorber. Pocket Fisherman is made with a smooth action Johnson spin casting reel filled with Trilene XL line, and boy does it catch fish. It's the perfect outfit for casting in tight spots. You can even hang it on your belt. Expert or amateur will love Popeil's Pocket Fisherman. It's rod, reel, line, bobber, hook, the whole thing. Yes, it's fishing fun for the whole family, and only $19.95. What a gift.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Greetings to all the forces of the Grand Army of the Republic. It's time again for Star Wars Daily Weekend Edition, brought to you this week by the Kaminoan Armorsmiths Union, following orders blindly, and ChannelStarWars.com. Star Wars news for Star Wars fans by Star Wars fans, bringing you the latest faster than a jump to hyperspace. I'm your host, Mike Mann.
What? What did you say?
The ambassadors are Jedi Knights, I believe.
This week was all about the Clone Wars. First, Disney Plus announced the upcoming animated series from Lucasfilm, Star Wars: The Bad Batch, which will stream in 2021. As stated in the official press release, the series follows the elite experimental clones of the Bad Batch, first introduced in the Clone Wars, as they find their way in a rapidly changing galaxy in the immediate aftermath of the Clone War. Members of Bad Batch, a unique squad of clones who vary genetically from their brothers in the clone army. Each possesses a singular exceptional skill which makes them extraordinarily effective soldiers and a formidable crew. In the post-Clone War era, they will take on daring mercenary missions as they struggle to stay afloat and find new purpose. So basically, look at it like a special forces unit trying to make their way after the war when war was all they knew. Yet another piece by Dave Filoni and crew, which will probably be simply amazing like everything else they do.
Is it in their nature to make us wait this long?
No. I sense an unusual amount of fear for something as trivial as this trade dispute.
Next, our friends over at IO9 announced this past week the release of 4 Star Wars The Clone Wars 6-inch Black Series action figures, all from the final season of the animated series. And as James Whitbrook wrote in his article, yes, they're pretty much exactly like the ones you would want. Included in this wave are Ahsoka Tano wielding her double lightsabers given to her by Anakin Skywalker, and a 332nd Legion clone trooper decked out with the orange Commander Tano loyalty helmet paint job. Also included are a Mandalorian loyalist who fought alongside Tano and the 332nd to free the Mandalorian homeworld of Mandalore, and in this channel Star Wars writer's opinion, the best of the wave. A Mandalorian super commando donning a spiked helmet in honor of their leader, Maul. These guys will be available this fall and are currently available for pre-order at Walmart exclusively for 25 credits a pop, and will be well worth every bit of it as well.
Shut up and take my money!
And lastly, we at Channel Star Wars make it a practice not to report rumors. However, we feel this one is worth noting. Hayden Christensen is said to be reprising his role as Anakin Skywalker in the future Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney+. This would make sense due to Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship throughout the saga and make this series all more exciting. Lucasfilm has yet to confirm this, but the idea was to announce this at Star Wars Celebration 2020 before it was canceled due to Tauntaun 19. Only time will tell if and when this is confirmed as factual. But how amazing would it be?
I love it when you call me senorita. It makes me feel nice.
That's all the time we have. Be sure to tune back in next week for all the latest and greatest in Star Warsing. For ChannelStarWars.com, I'm Mike Mann reminding you, they're not dolls, they're action figures. And now, back to BK on the air.
Thank you, Mike Mann, for ChannelStarWars.com. Check them out if you haven't. In the world of Star Wars, they'll let you know what's going on. So you'll be up to date every day on the world of Star Wars. And there's a lot going on because you got a lot of new stuff coming out, as you heard. By the way, I got a text. Let me get my phone here. I got a text. Golden Ranger TV, Pat McCormick was on Baba Black Sheep. The television
He was on
series
Baba Black
today.
Sheep?
No, it was his report was
it
on
was
it.
on that.
You were here.
It was
You remember.
covering.
He texted me.
Hey, he was on a soap opera.
Said, and he can play a guitar like you wouldn't believe. This is what Pat texted me. My dad was the pilot captain of a 6-man crew B-27 during World War II. I'm like, buddy, that's another hero right there. Those guys in the bombers were You talk about the fighters all you want, but the guys in the bombers, they relied on the fighters to protect them, And I know the bombers had the guns, they had the turret guns, the side guns, the rear guns.
It's not like a bomber can pull evasive maneuvers.
No, it can, but it's real slow.
Not against a fighter. I mean, you try, but
You ever tried to? I've asked truck drivers, how quick can you turn this 18-wheeler around? He's like, oh, you got a few minutes. I mean, it's pretty powerful, but it turns very slowly. So fantastic. And I've talked to a lot of. I worked on. I was fortunate enough to be able to, back when I was trying to do some independent films back years ago when I was involved in that. I actually put together a documentary called Memories of War, and I directed it, put it together, and Mike Clark, Commander Clark, we both had a lot of input on it, and production assistant and everything. And we talked to lots of World War II veterans and Korean War veterans and learned a lot and recorded their interviews in this documentary. And I've learned now that almost every one of them have passed away now that we've talked to.
Well, at least you had a chance to document their stories.
We did, and I've got it at a couple of museums, took a copy of it, and there's one museum that sometimes plays it on a loop in one of their museums. I think it's the Warner Robins Aviation Museum has it down there, I think, and I've got it in a couple other places. And I think they pull it out and play it every now and then because it's very – I wanted to talk to these guys to find out, and every one of them were the same. Every one of them were the same. They like, well, we weren't – hey, man, I wasn't a hero. I was just doing my job. And I couldn't even get some of them to talk about it. He goes, well, I'll go on camera and talk about what I did in World War II, but I don't know how much I'm going to be able to say. Once they got comfortable and we really started talking to them, they really started to open up and talk about it, and I think it was great. And I always made sure it was okay for them to do that. You feel okay talking about this? So some of them just said, no, I don't want to talk about what I did, and I respected that, of course, that you want to do that. But it's amazing what they did. And I've been inside a bomber. I walked inside at some of the air shows. They let you tour these planes, and by the way, we're talking about this because Pat McCormick in the Golden Age of TV did his report on Baba Black Sheep today, a fantastic World War II show about Pappy Boynton with Robert Conrad. And by the way, Pappy Boynton, he mentioned, was on a couple of episodes, the original guy. And I read there was an interview with him once that said, somebody goes, so was this show accurate about what you did in World War II? He goes, they got the planes and my name right. He goes, but other than that, it's a fantastic adventure escapism. We did do a lot of flying in combat back then.
Oh, they were one of the most successful units.
That was in the show, and they got that. They got that part of it right. But hey, I don't care that it's not 100 historically accurate.
No,
if this show makes people look me up in World War II, I love it.
Did they ever bill this as a biopic
I don't think they said this is 100% accurate about what happened. I mean, of course they're going to embellish it and make it entertaining. Come on,
television show,
right, in the 70s.
They based the character and loosely based it on actual events,
right?
But told a dramatic, fun story.
I read Pappy Boynton's bio once, and he started out flying with the Flying Tigers. That's where he started. That's where he got his training flying in Burma, China.
Wait,
the P-40 Warhawk.
P-40, yeah,
with the Tiger Warhawk, the one with the teeth on the front.
Yeah, like Jaws.
The Flying Tigers. Just be down there. We'll go back in time when we come back.
Star Trek, the game. A game so challenging, you need this combat control panel to play it. Take command of the Starship Enterprise as you battle your way through unknown sectors. Blast Klingons. Raise your shields. Watch for space mines. Is this the most challenging game in the galaxy?
It's inhuman.
Star Trek from Sega.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Ed's Almost Good Beer. Remember, Ed's Almost Good Beer was brewed in God's country when God wasn't looking.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF. Broadcasting online to WBHFradio.org, and use the free Tunein app if you ever can't hear the station and you want to hear me and you're far away. Get that Tunein app. You can get the free side or pay for it with no commercials. Either way you want, use Tunein to hear me anywhere around the world, the universe, anywhere you got a cell phone signal, you can hear me. Let's talk about this day in history. On this day, July the 18th, there's a lot of things that are happening. We were talking about some World War II fighters earlier. Well, on this day in history in 1942, this blew my mind when I found out about this when I was younger. Test flight of German Messerschmitt Me-262 using only its jet engines for the first time happened on this day. It just blew my mind that the Germans had kind of had the jet engine, the jet fighter in World War II. It wasn't practical. They couldn't use it because it would only go up for like 5 to 10 minutes at a time. And then it would have to land because it would use up the fuel they had. They hadn't figured that out yet. But they had I guess it was over 400, 500, 600 mile an hour jet in World War II. Bell, we developed one not long toward the end of World War II. We did too, but we just couldn't use them back then because they weren't practical.
I forgot the name of the first fully functional jet fighter for the U.S.
I don't know which one was it.
It's like I see an image in my head. I remember reading about it that it was developed at the end of World War II, but because we dropped the bomb and it ended the war, they couldn't put it into use yet.
And I can't remember what it was.
And then
we'll
they used it in Korea.
Now you got me wanting to know what it is.
It's a silver.
I know which one. It was the Sabre.
Yes,
the Sabre. That's right. And it had that little antenna that stuck out of the front of it or whatnot. And I saw a lot of models of it as a kid when I was growing up. Check this out. You're familiar with the Intel Corporation?
A little bit.
Bum, 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 for your computer. What year did you know? I can't do Elmo or anything. I can do something. Did you know that on July the 18th, on this day, Intel was founded on this day, by the way. But here's the question. What year do you think it was founded?
It's been probably around a lot longer than we think.
It's a lot longer than I thought. I'm like, wait a minute.
See, I was going to guess the 70s, but it may be older than that. But I would guess the early 70s.
On this day, July the 18th, 1968, the Intel Corporation was founded in Santa Clara, California.
In someone's garage.
That's right. Birthdays today, 1921, he was born. John Glenn, American astronaut. He died in 2016. 1913, Red Skelton was born, one of my dad's favorite comedians of all time, and I thought Red was funny, too. He had a great television show, very successful comedian on television. Died in 1997. Today is Paul Verhoeven's birthday, Dutch film director. Directed Basic Instinct, Total Recall, RoboCop, Starship Troopers. A lot of movie,
blood, guts, and boobs.
A lot of movie stuff. Yeah.
Verhoeven. Can you three words that hit his movies?
I called his movie. He has violence porn.
Yeah.
That's what his movie.
That's what it is.
It's really violent, but a very good director. I've liked almost every one of his movies. Did you know today is Mark Sinclair's birthday? American actor Mark Sinclair.
Why do I not know that name?
It's not a familiar name, is it?
No, it's not.
Oh, well, maybe if I told you if it was Vin Diesel's birthday.
Yeah, that would be it. That would do it.
Feel a little more, yeah. Vin Diesel, as he is more known as Groot. Groot's birthday.
Do you know Vin Diesel did something with his Chronicles of Riddick, the second movie?
Right.
You know, the first one was they rebranded it.
Pitch Black, yeah.
It was Pitch Black. Then have you know they've re-released it?
Which I liked.
It was really good.
Yeah.
They re-released it as now Chronicles of Riddick Pitch Black.
Oh, did they do the Indiana Jones thing?
Yeah, because they wanted to make them all. But the second one that was actually called Chronicles of Riddick.
Stupid.
I loved it. They had that one moment in the beginning.
I still haven't seen the second one.
He shows up and they've got all these warriors.
Right.
And one of the one guy challenges him and takes him out in 5 seconds.
Right.
And the main bad guy goes, "You've bested you've killed one of our best soldiers." He goes, "If you say so." I'm like, that's awesome.
That's great. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I'm expecting this big giant, typical.
Yeah.
I was thinking the prototypical fight,
Right.
between these two No, he's like, boom, boom, bam, boom, dead. And the
Right.
guy's like, "That was our best warrior." He's like, "Yeah, if you say so."
It's like Indy taking out the swordsman with his gun.
Yes, exactly. It was awesome.
That movie was a surprise. I didn't expect it to be as good, kind of really good and as entertaining as it was.
I love.
Wasn't Judi Dench in the second one?
I think she was in
what a
Chronicles of Riddick,
crazy
yes.
movie for her to be in, which proved she's a good actress.
But you know
She'll do
what?
a movie, so.
It was. I know we're going to get back to this.
Yeah.
To me, it was the same kind of high science fiction that Dune and other movies were
Right.
trying to do. It did it well, but it was
Right.
such high science fiction. It wasn't the action comedy or action
Right.
adventure. So if you're not into pure sci-fi, you probably didn't like it as much.
Right. Well, I know
if you are into sci-fi, it was really
the
good.
first one did good enough to have a sequel, so that's cool.
And I thought they did a third, didn't they?
Did they? I have to look it up because I haven't seen the second one or the third one. Billboard chart today on this day, July the 18th, 1980. Billy Joel's Glass Houses album tops the U.S. charts, featuring "It's Still Rock and Roll to Me."
First Billy Joel song I remember.
Which my sister had the 45 of that in the early 80s and played it over and over and over.
That
and
the theme for
backwards
Bosom
and
Buddies.
forward. My Life, yeah.
My Life.
Keep away from me. Yeah.
That was the other Billy Joel
They
song.
removed that song from Bosom Buddies in syndication because they didn't have the rights to put it back on the show.
That's
they replaced
bad.
it.
I fell in love with Billy Joel thanks to Bosom Buddies.
Box office on this date, 2008. The Dark Knight opened on this date in 2008.
Great movie.
Anniversary for you there. 1990, Arachnophobia, the spider movie, opened on this day, July the 18th.
There's another Spielberg-produced movie.
I think
not directed.
Did Kasdan direct that? Lawrence Kasdan?
I
know
don't
he had
remember
something
who
to
did
do
it. I
with
know Jeff Daniels was in it. And it was actually good. It was really good.
And also, on July the 18th, on this day in 1986, this movie opened.
Just tell me one thing, Burke. You're going out there to destroy them, right? Not to study, not to bring back, but to wipe them out.
That's the plan.
All right, people, on the ready line. Are you me? Yeah! Are you me? Yeah! Are you? Get on the ready line, Marine! Get down to die! Get on the ready line!
Movement.
Talk to me, Hudson.
I got signals. I got readings in front and behind.
There's nothing back here.
Look, I'm telling you, there's something moving and it ain't us.
Get them out of there!
That's right, Aliens, directed by James Cameron, starring Sigourney Weaver and the late Bill Paxton and Michael Biehn, opened in theaters today. What another one of those where people would go, oh, that's better than the original film. Some people say that that's another sequel that bested the first film. I always say, well, they're two different movies. I mean, it is a sequel to Alien.
It is.
But one's a very somber, artistic horror film that's about one alien. This one's just an action adventure, takes up and changes kind of genres almost completely and turns it on its end and still works perfectly as a bookend to that as another.
If you want
story.
to use a very loose definition of sequel, it is better than the original. But they are two different movies.
But you
They're
can't.
just
I mean, you
with
compare
the
one
same
from '79
monster.
to '86 too. It's like, of course, it's going to be different. So it depends on what mood you want to be in. You want to watch Alien. You can watch it. You know what you're going to get.
I love
You
them
can watch
both.
Aliens.
I
do
love
too.
them both.
Today is National Sour Candy Day, July the 18th.
Okay.
And I
can do that.
I gave my wife a Warhead once, the sour candy, and her taste buds are very magnified. If something's really spicy, it's terribly spicy. She's just that way. And you should have saw the face she
She's
made.
just weak.
I wish I could have taken the. Okay, I'll let you own that, not me.
Notice he didn't agree. He just
no, of
paused.
course I don't agree with that. Her face when she took the Warhead and tasted it, it was. I wish I could have taken a photo. Today is National Caviar Day, Lovey, with Mr. Howell and Lovey. And today is also
James Bond. Some beluga caviar.
Beluga caviar with vodka martini, shaken not
stirred.
Today is also Toss Away the Could Haves and Should Haves Day. It's the third Saturday in July every year. I didn't know that. Alan, toss away the could haves and the should haves today. Come on. I guess it's no regrets day, I guess. Huh?
I should have had a Mercedes.
That's what
I could have had a V8.
Instead, you had a Lexus. Which is totally fine, right?
I'm okay. It's all good.
I got a Lexus. It's fun. I like it.
Well, like somebody said yesterday at the graduation, too often, it was a quote from Martin Luther King Jr.
Oh, really?
And the principal was saying, too often we judge the success of a person by physical wealth and not what they've actually done.
Ain't that the truth, brother? That's very true. I mean, everybody goes, he's a wealthy man. What? What is it? Someone said, you can judge a man's wealth after he dies. How many people are at his funeral? You know, if you got like, wow, I guess that's one way of saying it. Because put it this way, if you're rich and got billions of dollars, but you're a jerk, and everybody only likes you because of that.
If you've got a lot of money, they're showing up hoping you're in the will.
Right. Once you're gone and they got nothing else, can get nothing else from you, how many people are going to be at your funeral? You know, that's sad. I think it's sad if someone has a funeral and there's nobody there.
That's
because
sad.
I'm thinking that's pretty sad. Because there's an All in Family episode about that Archie Bunker. One of Edith's aunts died, which Edith loved everybody. You know the character she was. She's very forgiving, very a very, I don't know, kind lady or whatnot, innocent. She went to Aunt Rose, and when she walked in, nobody was there but her. And she sat there, and the funeral director goes, maybe more people will show up later. She's like, I certainly hope so. And then went through the whole viewing. No one showed up. One guy came in behind her and sat down, and he was crying. And she looked at him. She goes, she was a great woman. He's like, yes, I will really miss Karen Pacheknik.
Yeah, it wasn't
and she
her.
goes, you're in the wrong room. So the guy had to leave and go to the place across the hall, which had 100 people in it. But Aunt Rose had no visitors at her funeral.
Yeah.
So that's pretty bad. But yeah, I'd like to be judged maybe on. Let me get serious for a minute. Can I get serious? I'm only judged, for character, maybe doing the right thing. Do the right thing.
You will find out how much happier you are in life when you stop worrying about comparing a scorecard of physical wealth or, tangible wealth versus what you just do to make yourself and others around you feel good and happy. Just memories, going out and doing things with one another.
And we're not just saying that because
I live it.
We're not just saying that because we're broke. We don't have any money. Well, we don't, I mean, we're not dumpster diving or anything.
Have you seen how horrible Johnny Depp's life is turning?
Yeah, that's a movie in the making. I mean, they could do a movie.
It goes to show you, if you don't have the right mental toolbox, it doesn't matter how much money you have.
That's right. Well, I certainly don't have that. It's me down there.
Ahoy, mateys. This is KAB Antonio Bay. Stevie Wayne here, beaming a signal across the sea. To the men of the seagrass, 15 miles out tonight, a warm hello, and keep a watch out for that fog bank heading in from the east. Now, in the meantime, relax with me while I play this song from the Coupe de Villes, dedicated just to you.
Boy, would I like to meet her.
I saw her at a grocery store one day.
Yeah?
You would like to meet her.
She's crazy. There's no fog bank out there. What do you know about her?
She owns that lighthouse.
I know that.
Her son plays Little League with my kid brother.
She's a mother?
I thought you were happily married.
Not that happy. No fog bank out there. Hey, there's a fog bank out there. All right, I'm drunk enough. Let's go back.
Born in the 60s, grew up in the 70s and the early 80s, and graduated in 1984. That's me in a nutshell. So that's my life.
Love Jay Giles.
Quick nutshell there. And then who's the main singer of Jay Giles? Peter Wolf. He went on to do a solo career. Had a song called Lights Out. Remember that? Lights Out. I like to, I play it.
I probably do.
I play it, and as soon as you hear it, you would go, "Oh yeah, I remember that." Just got a text from Walt into Darkness, frequent visitor of the program, and he's on your on the Wilder Ride with you, and he said the Lockheed P-80 Shooting Star was the first jet fighter used operationally by the United States Army Air Force. And I looked it up here, and that was 1945 when they introduced that. Long after World War II
I knew it was just as World War II was coming to an end.
Top speed of 600 miles an hour, which is pretty fantastic in 1945.
That boogie's.
So
yeah, how fast were like regular prop planes? Maybe 200?
I think toward the end of World War II, the P-51 Mustang and the P-40 Thunderbolt reached speed of well over 400 miles an hour. The prop planes did, but we know that jets would go on to go much faster than 600 miles an hour too.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see. We'll just see how well another sequel that will actually, I guess, come out next year now. Maverick, the sequel to Top Gun, which the trailers look pretty interesting. I'll just say this up front. I wasn't a big Top Gun fan. It was a good movie. I knew it was a crowd-pleasing movie. Everybody loved it.
It was a movie of its time.
But, yeah, and I when I finally did watch it on videotape when it come out, I'm like, oh, well, I like this movie as long as the jets are in the scene. It's pretty fun. But I have a story here which happened this week. This is a fantastic story which has a horrible subject matter but wound up being pretty darn cool. This is a particular one I'm going to read to you from CBS News. Celebrities hail a 6-year-old as a hero after his aunt says he saved his sister from a dog attack. A story about a heroic 6-year-old from Wyoming has gone viral. If you haven't heard about it, you're going to hear about it now.
This is amazing.
Attracting attention from millions of people, including celebrities. The boy, Bridger, saved his little sister from a gruesome dog attack, according to Nikki Walker, who said she's his aunt and shared the story on Instagram. Walker said that she shared the story so, quote, it gets as much exposure as it can, unquote. We know that our little hero would love some words of encouragement from his favorite heroes, Walker wrote on a post this past Monday. On July the 9th, my 6-year-old nephew Bridger saved his little sister's life by standing between her and a charging dog. After getting bit several times in the face and head, he grabbed his sister's hand and ran with her to keep her safe. He later said, Bridger said that the little boy says, if someone had to die, I thought it should be me. This is a little 6-year-old saying that, Walker.
Because his sister was like in the picture, like maybe 3.
Yeah, and they're both as cute as a button, man. Yeah. They're both really cute. Walker's post continued. After receiving 90 stitches, give or take, from a skilled plastic surgeon, he finally is resting at home. We love our brave boy and want all the other superheroes to know about this latest hero who joined their ranks.
A real hero.
Yes, Walker shared photos of Bridger and his little sister before the attack, as well as heart-wrenching photos of his facial injuries after. And if you've seen the photos, you can see them. They're pretty extensive, but they can do wonders now to fix stuff like that. The boy's face appears cut from the lip up to his cheek and is covered in stitches. It's also swollen and bruised. She tagged actors who star in superhero movies: Tom Holland, Spider-Man; Chris Hemsworth, Thor; Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man; Mark Ruffalo, the Hulk; Chris Pratt, Star-Lord; Tom Hiddleston, Loki; Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther; Vin Diesel, Groot, whose birthday it is today; and Chris Evans, who is Captain America. Some of the on-screen heroes and many others responded to Walker's post praising Bridger's heroism during this act. Chris Evans actually sent a video message. Let's hear what Chris had to say to the little boy.
This is a message for Bridger. Hey, Bridger. Captain America here. How you doing, buddy? So I read your story. I saw what you did. Now, I'm sure you've heard a lot of this over the last couple days, but let me be the next one to tell you, pal, you're a hero. What you did was so brave, so selfless. Your sister is so lucky to have you as a big brother. Your parents must be so proud of you. I'm going to track down your address, and I'm going to send you an authentic Captain America shield because, pal, you deserve it. Keep being the man you are. We need people like you. Hang in there. I know recovery might be tough, but based on what I've seen, I don't think there's much that can slow you down. Bye, buddy.
And he's actually with his aunt here in this video, talking with his sister.
How do you feel about that shield? He's gonna send you an official, real Captain America shield. What?
And he's just as happy as he can be now. Even with his injuries, he's wearing a Captain America costume, listening to that on a hammock, swinging with his little sister right beside him, and listening to his parents talk. And he seems in good spirits. So that's amazing.
Touching.
That is. I tell you, that kid will never forget several things. By the way, the U.S. Navy and Wounded Warrior Project praised the boy's bravery as well. After receiving over 1 million likes and thousands of comments, Walker added an update, his aunt, to the post's caption. I just finished visiting Bridger at home. His wounds are looking so much better. He's in great spirits, and his awesome personality is intact. He can't smile too widely yet, but he's grinning, and as I read some of your comments to him, and I'm sure that he's grinning, and even grinning probably is painful for him, but he still does it. In a second update to the post, Walker said that she's received many inquiries about setting up a GoFundMe for the boy and his family. Bridger's family has asked anyone wishing to help out financially can instead donate to @mission_22. That's @mission_22 or @WWP. The other one is @WWP. That's the two GoFundMe ways you can help out. Mission 22 and WWP are both foundations for veterans and wounded U.S. soldiers. That's what they want you to contribute to.
That's awesome.
So a great story, a horrific story to begin with. And I've seen the different photos that she's posted of Bridger and his sister, and they look like they're inseparable. Now, I think maybe my sister and I were that way when we were younger, but not when we were a little older. So I'm like,
the line
I shot her with a BB gun once, but that was by accident.
From Chris Evans, I like, but I wonder if he's going to get any backlashes. We need more men like you.
Yeah, but you know what?
I heard that, and I was like, you're absolutely right.
I agree with that because protecting people like that, I mean, heroism crosses all kinds of boundaries and ages and whatnot. And, I'd like to say, when I was 6, I would have done that. I don't know.
Yeah,
because I'm a different person. I'd like to think that I would.
I don't know what adults would do today. Most would turn and run.
I don't either. They're like, call 911, but don't do anything else. No, I'd like to think that I'm the hero and would spring into action in a moment's notice. But you really actually kind of really never know what would happen until it happens,
right?
And how you react. I mean, adrenaline.
It's hard to know.
Nervousness takes over, preservation, oneself.
Well, when you talk to a lot of people who, for example, I'm only going to use because I'm looking at the Loudermilk Hobby Farms,
right.
Congressman Loudermilk, when he was shot at on that ball field.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that.
He said, you almost can't reconcile in your head that this is what's happening.
Yeah,
this
when
is
it starts
what
to
you see
happen,
in movies. This is what happens. On television. This doesn't happen in real life, does it? And then you don't know how you're going to react. And then you realize, I can't even defend myself. I've got no choice but to seek cover. But he said it took him a good, 8-10 seconds of like,
yeah,
what is that? It sounds like is someone shooting at me?
That's your human
can't
reaction.
imagine.
You know, you're like, at first it's disbelief. You're right. I can't accept that this is happening. Oh, now it's happening. Then you jump into whatever you need to do, duck and cover or help or move. Like, think about the people caught out in the open during the shooting in Las Vegas from the guy who was in that hotel.
Right.
And I've heard a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks going, well, you know, if I had something, I could have taken that guy out. I'm like, I don't think so, because number one, he was far away.
Right.
I don't think anything you had in your pocket would have reached him or done anything
not
good.
accurately
Number
up to
one,
the
you don't
window.
know where he is. He's picking off people like a sniper. It's just I don't want to be in a situation. I never want to be in a situation like that. It's just terrible.
But I also never want to be in a situation where I don't have a way of protecting myself.
Right. I always want to be, or at the very least, have an out. And when I do that, I go into every time I fly, I always take note. What row am I in? I'm a third row back. And I'm 3 rows back from this opening that goes to the door. That way, if it's pitch dark, I'm underwater, I can go and count 3 rows, and I know there's a door there. Call me goofy with safety on a plane, but I always do that. I notice where I am because you never know what's going to happen. It's BK on the Air. We know what's going to happen here. We're going to have more BK on the Air when we come back. We're going to take a break now. We'll be right back.
Premiering Friday after Wonder Woman, it's the all-new Incredible Hulk. A radiation experiment has unleashed the ultimate mutation, turning David Banner into a superhuman beast whenever he becomes angered. Bill Bixby stars in The Incredible Hulk, premiering Friday at 9, 8 Central and Mountain.
Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman. All the world is waiting for you and the power you possess. In your satin tights, fighting for your rights, and the old red, white, and blue.
Well, if you've been waiting on it, Wonder Woman, Linda Carter's Wonder Woman, is finally coming to Blu-ray for the first time and in remastered glory. Here's the press release coming from Warner Brothers. Wonder Woman, the complete collection, beloved live-action television series, remastered for the first time on Blu-ray, coming July the 28th. Wonder Woman, the beloved 1970s live-action television series, the complete collection with Linda Carter. Season 1 features adventures of Wonder Woman's original World War II era, while Seasons 2 and 3 whoosh forward, and it changed networks and went to CBS, fast-forwarded into the disco-loving 70s era. The times changed. The need to smash evil, calamity, and injustice does not. I preferred the first season of Wonder Woman in World War II. The last two were kind of silly. I guess it was still okay, but the first season was actually the best during World War II. The Wonder Woman Complete Collection, $64.99. In Canada, $69.99. Comes complete with all 59 episodes, plus the treasured pilot movie across 10 discs. Bonus features include, but are not limited to, an audio commentary of the pilot with Linda Carter herself and executive producer Douglas S. Kramer, along with a lot of other special features on there. So another superhero movie show coming out on
That's
DVD.
cool.
Which is kind of cool.
That may be the only Wonder Woman we get this year, based on your earlier story.
This year, yeah, you're right, because I was kind of looking forward to at least Wonder Woman opening, and now maybe who directed The Dark Knight? Who am I thinking of?
Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan's Tenet now is probably going to be pushed back. Now
I saw when we went to go to the movie theater, I told you the first 2 times we went, no previews. But then when we went to go see Jurassic Park, they had previews, and the preview for Tenet looks great.
That may be pushed back, and now I was looking forward in November with a Black Widow from Marvel coming out. That may now actually not, but it's still fluid. It may still happen as things progress. We'll see. Well, I have another COVID-19 pushback delay from Nick Romano and Entertainment Weekly. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier will not make its August premiere now. It was expected after filming on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier Marvel show, filming in Atlanta, paused in March, but now it's official. The first live-action Marvel Studios TV series won't be making its planned August premiere on Disney+. The streaming platform released its list of new programming coming next month, and the show, starring Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan as the 2 characters we mentioned, wasn't on it. A source close to the situation confirms to Entertainment Weekly that the premiere has indeed been delayed due to the global pandemic. If all goes well, a new premiere will be announced soon. Let's all hope so. Our movies and theaters may be affected, but let's hope our new Disney Plus content moves forward. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier picks up after the events of Avengers Endgame and takes Sam Wilson and newly minted Captain America. He got the shield at the end of Endgame, if you saw, and Bucky Barnes Sebastian Stan on a global adventure that tests their abilities and their patience, an official log line reads. Daniel Bruhl also returns to play Baron Zemo, a villain from Captain America Civil War. The director says earlier this year, during a Disney financial earnings call, and also Chairman Bob Iger revealed that Captain America Winter Soldier would arrive at Disney Plus in August, while WandaVision, starring Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany, was on track for a December 2020 premiere, and Loki, the Marvel show starring Tom Hiddleston, would arrive in 2021. Well, that one probably is still true. Arrival date. In mid-January 2020, filming was expected to take place in Arecibo, Puerto Rico for 2 weeks. However, because of earthquakes on the island, production was suspended. Wow, a pandemic, an earthquake. This show is plagued with problems that are not its fault. Production on The Falcon and the Winter Soldier took the cast and crew to shoot in Prague, but then COVID-19 pandemic continued to spread. The show became just one of the numerous Hollywood projects, as we well know, put on pause as the world collectively evaluates this situation. In late June, the head of the Film Commission in the Czech Republic announced that cast and crew involved in the film and TV productions would be exempt from the European Union travel ban on U.S. citizens, which took place on July the 1st. As a result, the series is preparing for a 9-day shoot in that country soon. Production is also scheduled to resume at the Atlanta studios, which was formerly Pinewood Studios, in August. So let's hope they stay on track for that. But I'm still not seeing a premiere until 2021.
How cool is that? That the whole country has said no one's allowed in. Well, except for you guys filming this movie.
Yeah, if you're going to make some money for our country, you can come on in.
You're allowed.
That's all right.
We like what you're about to do. You're using us as a backdrop for your superhero movie.
It is all about the bucks, right?
Or I guess it's not a movie; it's a series.
Yes, it's
but these series are almost like mini movies anyway.
Well, I can't even really call it, because we know when it does come out, it's going to be on the level of movie quality.
Yeah,
because it's going to have CGI effects and action adventure, and hopefully be well written. Which, in the hands of Marvel Studios, I'm 99.99999% confident that it will be, because I've got that much. It's really weird that I've got that much confidence now in a brand, a name brand. Marvel Studios, I know, will deliver me some top-notch entertainment, because everything they've delivered so far, even the weakest Marvel productions and films, I still like.
Right.
I don't hate them. They still fall within the puzzle of the whole thing. So here's another movie franchise that's got some news. From Jessica Napoli from Fox News, Bryce Dallas Howard shows off massive bruises from Jurassic World Dominion stunt work. She's putting in some seriously hard work on the set of the third Jurassic World movie. Or is it the sixth Jurassic Park movie? How would we say that? It's so weird. These are sequels to a sequel of films, I guess is what it is. It's weird. Now, the 39-year-old actress posted a series of photos on Twitter on the massive bruises that she earned from doing some intense stunt work for the action-adventure film. And if you go and log on and just Google Bryce Dallas Howard bruises Jurassic World or whatever, they'll come up. She's holding her arms up. And there's some. I've never had bruises that big on my arm, and I've done some crazy things growing up. She started the conversation with a photo of her and Chris Pratt, 41, on the UK set. These past couple of weeks, quote, my abs have been sore from laughing so much. It's good to be back at work with this funny guy. She's referring to Chris Pratt. Mm-hmm. And he does sound like a fantastic guy to hang around. He's just all of his interviews. He sounds really cool. Even back when they said the rumors where he was taking over for Indiana Jones, where I thought I would go, who's taking over for Indiana Jones? When I heard it was him, I'd go, oh, okay, I could get behind that. I like him that much. You know,
well, you saw when someone did the deep fake of his face on.
Yeah, it was just kind of working.
It was working.
It was. I mean, I could. Other than the voice, it was great. Now, Jurassic World Dominion resumed shooting at Pinewood Studios outside of London on July the 6th, according to Deadline. The outlet revealed that 2 weeks of pre-production would take place, and everyone behind and in front of the camera would be tested for the coronavirus before stepping foot on set, and retested several times throughout the shoot. Universal is reportedly spending, this is going to up the budget, add $5 million on new protocols to make the set safe. Mm-hmm. So they add that to the budget of the film.
I've heard it'll add another 10 days to most productions when you have slowdowns for this testing.
Stopping,
and
taking temperature.
And about $5 to $10 million depending on the size of the cast and crew.
Now, when the pandemic hit in March, Dominion was reportedly 4 weeks into a 20-week shoot. The film, the third and final in the relaunched franchise.
Whoa, it's a 20-week shoot?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Holy moly.
In the relaunched franchise is directed by Colin Trevorrow. The film also stars Justice Smith, Jake Johnson, Omar Sy, and B.D. Wong, with also Jeff Goldblum, Sam Neill, and Laura Dern set to resume their roles from the original Steven Spielberg directed film Jurassic Park. The film is currently slated on the release date of June the 11th of next year, 2021. So,
B.D. Wong is one of the only guys I know that can, if I close my eyes, I hear Val Kilmer.
I know, isn't it weird?
It's crazy.
And for a long time, and I still kind of do, when I hear your voice and Dirk Benedict from Battlestar Galactica and A-Team, I think you guys have the same voice. No, I mean, they're very similar voices. I was watching, I don't know what it was, I was watching Battlestar Galactica several months ago, and it was a Starbuck-heavy episode, and I'm like, he sounds like Alan. I don't know why. And it's nothing weird about that. I mean, it's not an insult or anything.
I'll take
it's just
that
an
over
observation.
Remo.
You'll take that over. You look like Fred Ward, but you sound like Dirk Benedict.
I don't look a thing like Fred Ward.
I don't want to give him any fuel to call in.
No, he doesn't have time.
Well, I told you who I thought you looked like. You remind me of Michael York.
Which I'll take
the actor Michael York. I think your facial, I don't know if it's your nose
Michael
or
York.
whatever. Well, I didn't specify. But that,
Basil.
Logan's Run and
are you having a hard time with this one?
Why can I think? Austin Powers.
There we go.
If I can get it before I go to commercial, I'm doing a good job.
Before the show ends.
Before the show ends, I thought of who it was. So, Michael York. Have you seen him lately?
No, I haven't.
Michael York suffers from a blood disease of the eyes. And when you see him, I'll show you a picture of him on the break when we go off the air. He's almost unrecognizable, and it's unfortunate when something like that happens to somebody, especially who's an actor who counts on sometimes their appearance, I guess. But he hasn't. I don't think he's been in anything for a while. But it's a rare blood disorder that affects his eyes, and I'll show you a picture of him, and you probably won't recognize him. But that's terrible. I want to thank Barbara. She came by the studio again today to bring us some goodies and snacks and food, and she's keeping us. Man, she's keeping us in snacks. A listener that comes by and brings snacks.
Why do you think she's including hard-boiled eggs lately?
I don't know.
Is she making a comment on us?
But they're good, though.
Hard-boiled?
You had one last week, and I ate the other
one.
I
ate
too. So, yeah.
It was good.
She's a great, I'm glad she's out there. We love her to death, and she's a fantastic listener. I don't have enough time to get to the story, but Netflix goes big with a movie called The Gray Man's going to go into production, and it's the Russo brothers that are going to be directing it from, I think it's from a book or a book series or something like that. It's going to have Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans. They're sticking with an actor they're familiar with, and it's like a James Bondish secret agent type thing called The Gray Man.
Huh.
I've never heard of that, but it's the Russo brothers, big movie makers, that are going to spend lots of money. It's going to have a huge budget on Netflix. So
you think with the Russo brothers, you think so? I mean,
yeah, they tend to spend a little money.
They feel like they can spend it now.
But isn't it cool that if you work for a franchise like Alan, if we're chosen to make a Marvel movie or something big, that just right off the bat, they're like, okay, you got a big budget already. You don't have to fight for it.
Oh, no, I'll take the two guys from Stranger Things. Just pitch this kind of crazy idea. Yeah. Like, just let us try to make this 10-episode thing. We know it probably won't go anywhere.
That's right.
And now you got not only a 4th season coming out, you've got a whole new show, and there's throwing money at you.
What a horrible problem to have to scramble and go, we got to make another season. People like this. We got to come up with more. And they did. They really did. Well, thanks for being here, as usual.
Time flies, man. I can't believe 2 hours are gone.
Wonderful time on Saturday. I'm glad you had a good time at your graduation for your kids last night.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Congratulations to everyone that got to graduate, at least got to do it, really. It's BK on the air. We'll be back with more Nostalgic Geekiness next week. See you then.
You've all seen how Orko's magical tricks don't always go the way he planned. Sometimes they backfire on him. The same thing is true of practical jokes. Sometimes they don't go the way you planned, and you or someone else can get hurt. So be sure and think twice before playing a joke or a trick on anybody. Might not go the way you planned, and someone could wind up losing a finger or an arm or maybe even an eye. And no joke is worth that, is it? See you again soon.